Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here. It is so great to be supported by so many of you for this important announcement, which I know many of us have been pushing to have happen for a long time. We are speaking on the territory of the signatories of Treaty 7, and I acknowledge the Métis people who share a deep connection to this land. I am Gurinder Brar, a small business owner and the proud candidate for Alberta NDP in Calgary Northeast. I'm joined by Sarah Hoffman, Alberta NDP Deputy Leader, Education Critic, and our candidate in Edmonton, Glenora. Jasvir Deol, our Multiculturalism Critic and Alberta NDP candidate for Edmonton Meadows. Irfan Sabir, our Justice Critic and candidate for Calgary Buller-McCall. By Calgary North candidate and local broadcaster Rajesh Angral. By Calgary Cross candidate and financial expert Gurinder Gill. Calgary Northwest candidate and teacher Michael Lesbo-Smith. And by Calgary Foothills candidate and economic development expert Kurt Ellingson. And we are joined by several community members supporting this announcement too, including members from the Sikh community, Gurlal Dhaliwal, Gurpreet Singh Shergill, and Rantir Singh, as well as Zohair Osman, a longtime community organizer and volunteer for Muslim community. Preeti Roshan, a mother of two and a small business owner from Hindu community, along with other stakeholders. And by Dr. Edward C., a Calgary-born Chinese parent with two boys in elementary school. This is an incredible group. Thank you all for being here today. And it is with my great pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Alberta NDP Deputy Leader, Sarah Hoffman.
Thank you very much, Gurinder, and thank you everyone for being here today. Alberta is a truly diverse province, and that we, as Albertans, many of us trace our lineage or our heritage to other parts within Canada or even around the world. And Albertans celebrate and honor a wide range of cultural and religious holidays. But we haven't always kept that diversity in mind when we've built our calendars for kindergarten to grade 12 schools, or post-secondary institutions, or even some workplaces. For example, in this coming school year, the province mandates school divisions to conduct their September student count on September 25th. This is Yom Kippur. It's one of the holiest days in the Jewish calendar this year. So it's important to know how many students are in each school division, but students who observe Yom Kippur and spend that day with their family or their community will not be counted. In the coming years, we know that Eid and Diwali also will overlap with a September student count day. And so kids who observe these holidays won't be counted on those years. In both kindergarten to grade 12 and post-secondary schools, students frequently find their exams are scheduled in conflict with cultural or religious holidays. In June of last year, I wrote to the Education Minister, Adriana LaGrange. I urged her to work with school divisions to build a calendar that's flexible enough to respect the diversity of all Alberta students. But she never wrote me back. And the UCP never took action. Alberta absolutely can do better, and an Alberta NDP government will do better. We will act where the UCP have failed. To tell us more about this, I'm pleased to introduce my friend and colleague, Jasvir Deol.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you for your advocacy on this issue. Many Albertans are put in difficult positions when obligations of their school or job are in conflict with their religious and cultural traditions. An Alberta NDP government, led by Rachel Notley, will fix this problem. We are going to do three things. First, we will direct Alberta Education to make sure that student count days, exams, and dates mandated by the province are scheduled away from cultural and religious holidays, and we will work collaboratively with school districts to make sure their local calendars also avoid these days. Secondly, we will work with our post-secondary schools to do the same. Third, we will begin a consultation with the business community to see what opportunities exist for workers to swap the current statutory holidays for different days. We know this won't work everywhere, but some employers are already offering this option, and it's worth exploring where else it could work. And now, I'm very pleased to introduce the Alberta NDP candidate, Calgary Buller Mukal, Irfan Sabir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jasvir. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm proud to be here today and proud of this commitment to make sure that Alberta students and Alberta workers will be able to fully participate in their education, in their profession, without compromising their faith. Many people in our communities are concerned about this for their kids, and it's a big step forward for students who honor Yom Kippur, Diwali, Eid, Chinese Lunar New Year, and a wide range of other significant holidays. It's also important for K-12 schools to have an accurate count of the student they serve. I've heard of classrooms having double-digit absences because of so many of the students were at home with their family because they were celebrating some important holiday. This Alberta NDP policy commitment sends a powerful signal that we honor and respect all of the many cultural and religious traditions that make up our great province. And I want to reiterate that this doesn't cost government, businesses, school divisions, anyone, any money. All it needs is leadership and willingness to acknowledge Alberta's diversity, and that's exactly what we are doing. I would now like to invite Zohair Usman to share his thought.
Thank you, Irfan. It's excellent news for the entire Muslim community, and I thank the NDP leader, Rachel Notley, and her team for acknowledging the critical religious culture aspect of the minority of this country. As Muslims, after fasting the whole month of Ramadan, Eid is when we look forward to celebrate our fasting, finishing fasting the month of Ramadan with our loved ones. This step will allow each family member to celebrate together, despite what the multicultural inclusive Alberta should stand for. Thank you very much, and thank you for being here today.
I would now like to invite Gulal Daliwal to share his thoughts.
Hello. Hi, good morning, everyone. It is a great here that to Alberta and is taking constables toward making institute and state society of our province more inclusive. Families and students have a fundamental right to practice their religious beliefs and celebrate days like Vaisakhi and Bandi Shore this with their families without worrying about an exam or taking a person day. We welcome the announcements. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Preeti Roshan to share her thoughts as well.
Hello, good morning, everyone. It's good to see that Alberta NDP is taking a hostility approach by utilizing a critical step focusing on all lives from school and university to the workplace. The approach will allow to the families, including parents and children, to be together and celebrate the most important day per our religions benefits, including Diwali. This approach closes the gaps and does not leave anyone behind. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Dr. Edward C.
Our children must learn about and appreciate our diverse cultural and religious experiences. I want to pass my cultural traditions on to my children, teach them about their Asian heritage, and develop an appreciation for a multicultural Alberta. The Lunar New Year is a time for Asian families to come together, to celebrate our heritage. And as a Calgary-born Chinese parent, we use the Lunar New Year to ensure that our children's cultural traditions continue onto the next generation. We teach them the importance of respecting their elders, the significance of red envelopes, and the symbolism behind the various foods and decorations. The Alberta NDP commitment means that as parents, we no longer need to choose between our children's academics and their cultural experiences. We welcome this announcement.
Thank you all for being here, and with that, we're happy to take questions.
Thanks, and we'll start with any questions in the room.
Hello everyone, my name is DP Tillo and I'm from Red FM, a multicultural radio in Calgary. And my first question I would like to ask in Punjabi, any of you can answer. My question is that ਕੀ ਹਰ ਧਰਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਛੁੱਟੀਆਂ ਹੋਣ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਏਗੀ? If we are having holidays for every religion, will it impact the study of other children too?
No, it will not, because what this announcement is saying. You want me to answer in Punjabi?
Please say in Punjabi, yes.
So, ਨਹੀਂ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹਰ ਬੱਚੇ ਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਤੇ ਫਰਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਪੈ ਰਿਹਾ ਇਸ ਮਾਰੇ ਕਿ ਅਨਾਉਂਸਮੈਂਟ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਸਕੂਲ ਡਿਵੀਜ਼ਨਸ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਪੂਲੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਉਹ ਸਰਵ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਕਾਊਂਟ ਕਰਕੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੈਲੰਡਰ ਬਣਾਵਣ ਪੂਰੇ ਈਅਰ ਦੇ ਅਰਾਊਂਡ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸੇਮ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਸੈਂਸਿਟਿਵ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਕਿ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਜਿਤਨੇ ਵੀ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਸਿਗਨੀਫਿਕੈਂਟ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਇਰਦ ਗਿਰਦ ਐਗਜ਼ਾਮ ਆਲ ਦੋਜ਼ ਥਿੰਗਸ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਡੇਜ਼ ਉਹ ਨਾ ਰੱਖੇ ਜਾਵਣ ਬਾਕੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨਲ ਡੇਜ਼ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਸੇਮ ਰਹਿਣਗੇ ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਦੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਉਹ ਮੁਤਾਸਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਊਗੀ
I have a follow-up if I may.
Yes, you can have a follow-up.
If students are free from their schools on their religious or cultural days, but their parents might not be free on that day, so how will that be looked into?
I think if somebody is sending their kid to school or not wanting to send their kid to school, they would also want to stay home to celebrate Eid because both parent and student will belong to the same culture. And we also committed that we will be working with employers as well, so that they have the flexibility to swap stat days and be able to celebrate with their family and kids. And as I said before, that this will not cost government anything, this will not cost school board or businesses anything. All it needs is willingness and leadership from the government to acknowledge Alberta's diversity and the days they celebrate. Thank you.
One more pass for questions in the room. And we'll go to questions on the phone. If you could say your name and your outlet at the top, that'd be great. *9 if you're joining us on the phone. Raise hand function if you're joining us via Zoom. We'll go to our first caller.
Edmonton. While this is very interesting, I have some off-topic questions for Sarah Hoffman. First one is, you know that the UCP obviously changed the way teacher regulation functioned to put teacher discipline under the government's control. What would an NDP government do about the teacher regulation model? Would you keep government control of teacher regulation, return it to the Alberta Teachers Association, create a college, and why would you take that step?
Thanks very much, Janet. And we definitely, when this legislation came before the House, had some amendments that we put forward. We absolutely want to make sure that everyone is held to a high standard when they're working with children. That is an absolute commitment, both from us, from every teacher I've met, from their leadership within the ATA. We had some serious concerns with the minister being the ultimate arbitrator for this process, and the minister choosing the folks who would be working for her. We will have to see how far this has proceeded before making specific commitments about what the model will look like exactly moving forward. But we've definitely made our concerns very well known, and we look forward to being in a position, hopefully in about 40 days, where we can actually see some of the implications, get the briefings from department officials, and be able to make decisions moving forward that ensure the safety of all students, and establish a respectful relationship again with teachers. Because for the last 4 years, we've had an education minister and UCP government that have absolutely tried to vilify and demonize teachers. They've driven healthcare and education workers out of this province, and we need to have a government that shows them respect and wants to work in partnership with them to serve all Albertans.
Any follow-up, Janet?
New topic, equalization. So what do you think of the Trudeau government extending the equalization formula until 2029?
Yeah, definitely. I think Rachel will probably have more to say about that on specifics. But what I can say is that when we were in government and we negotiated to have an increase in terms of the healthcare transfer funding that we received, that previously they used to have a number of other factors, and we just wanted it to be based strictly on population. If Alberta has about 10% of Canadians, we deserve about 10% of the funding, and that was definitely a change that we were really proud to advocate on behalf of Albertans for, and we'll have obviously every time there's a dollar available to come to support Alberta families, Alberta workers, we think that the government of Alberta should be taking full advantage of that. That didn't happen under the UCP. We know that there was money that was set aside to top up salaries for all healthcare workers, and the Alberta government chose to pick winners and losers and not actually top up salaries for all employees, even though that was something that was that more Albertans could have received that top up than was available. So we definitely don't want to leave any money on the table. Specifics as it relates to funding formulas from the federal government, as announced recently, we'll have to get you more details offline, Janet.
We'll go to our next caller.
Hi there, it's Catherine Rakowski, Alberta Today. Had some questions about, I guess, thresholds. So in terms of not scheduling exams, would that be just for diploma exams? Would that be for all exams? Like, is there a minimum threshold? And then kind of a similar question on the holidays, because I think just about every day has a Saints Day, but as you mentioned, some holidays are more significant than others. So how do you come up with those holidays, and how do you define exams?
Thanks, Catherine. So our announcement today, our commitment is with what's within the control of the Alberta Education, the government of Alberta, and that definitely relates to all of the scheduling of diploma exams, provincial achievement tests, important dates like the date we have to record how many students are attending school, and it does have a negative impact if those fall on significant religious holidays like Yom Kippur this upcoming year, because Jewish students who choose to spend the day observing their religion, celebrating with their family and their community won't be counted, which means that school boards in future years won't be funded for those kids because they weren't counted as part of the student population. That is unethical. So it's absolutely something that we, in terms of scheduling, need to make sure that we have done. I also believe that the vast majority of school divisions really want to serve their families well. So when all of this information is gathered by the government of Alberta, when we have partners from various religious and cultural communities at the table helping us identify what days are most important to observe, that information can be shared with the various school divisions, and we can make sure that they have that to enable them to make the best decisions to support their communities when it comes to other types of exams. But this commitment is for the provincial exams, so provincial achievement tests, diploma exams, and other important days like the date that we have to report the number of students.
Any follow-up, Catherine?
Yeah, that helped. Thank you. So when you say you'll direct Alberta Education and Advanced Education and working with school boards, does this have to be done through legislation, or is it something that can be done through a conversation, or what's the mechanism for making this work?
I am confident that there are people in Alberta education right now jotting down notes and following along with what's being committed to in the election. But of course, if I were the education minister, I'd sit down with my deputy on day one and I'd say, these are some of the commitments that we made during the election. Do we need to pass an order in council? Do you have enough clear direction? Would you like us to bring in legislation? And that might be something that Rachel chooses anyway to ensure that it can be enshrined long term, but we want to act immediately. I'm confident that there are folks in Alberta education hearing what commitments we're making and thinking about how they can properly implement that in a very timely fashion to make sure that all students can be included in public, Catholic, and Francophone education without celebrating their religion or their culture being seen as a detriment to them receiving a full, excellent education.
And I think we got time for one more.
Thanks for letting me back in, Janet French from the CBC. I have on-topic questions now. And the first is on, I think this is a Sarah question or maybe an Irfan question, but school boards right now have the power to set their own calendars. Does that mean that you would rescind that power or alter that power for them? Or would you just kind of encourage, how would you deal with that jurisdictional?
So this upcoming school year, Alberta Education determines what day you have to count the number of students, and they've got it set for September 25th, which is why it's so problematic for this upcoming school year for all Jewish students who are observing Yom Kippur. And definitely we would work with them to say we aren't going to schedule diploma exams or provincial achievement tests on the following dates. We're going to make sure, and part of why this is at no cost is because we know that not every student will be there every day. And what we're trying to do is figure out which days are most important for students to observe religious and cultural holidays with their families, and how we can make sure that we don't create systems that impede that. So this is really about the initiatives that are scheduled through Alberta Education around things like the student count, as well as their provincial and diploma exams.
Any follow-up, Janet?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I missed the name of your parent who was there, but I'm wondering if she could tell me how the school calendar conflicting with her family's traditions and culture, like how that's affected their family.
Okay with that? Yeah.
And also, can you spell your first and last name? That would be awesome.
My name is Preeti Kumari. Priti, Preeti. My name is Preeti Kumari, spell Priti. Last name is Kumari, Kumari. Can you repeat the question?
Can you repeat your question, Janet?
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, there were some audio issues there. I just wanted you to tell me how, when the school calendar conflicts with the most important days in your culture, how does that affect your family?
We can't stay together. We celebrate Saturday and Sunday because all time of work day, always. Sometime Tuesday, Wednesday is our festival come, then we can't celebrate.
Joining us on the phone, raise hand
Yeah.
function if you're joining us via Zoom. Got one more.
Okay. If I may, maybe I can answer as well. Our children's education is a lot more than just what they learn from their academics in school. There is a whole different dimension of lessons and stories that we want to tell our children through our culture, through our traditions, that they won't learn in school, and they can only learn through others their seniors, their grandpas, their papas, their mamas. Those are the people that they're going to be learning all of these from. And so we want to make sure that they get an opportunity to have that education. Not just the stuff that they learn in school, but the stuff that really matters for their culture, for their identity, for understanding who they are as a person and what they can contribute in a multicultural Alberta. Thank you.
Thank you, and that's all for today.